Hi, guys, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to get into the Arizona steel. We're not only going to talk about 2020, but we're going to show you some videos about 2022 and how even today in 2025 and, by the way, in 2026, they're going to show you everything that's happening. And I'm going to tell you a story because I was on a podcast yesterday, and this guy was like, I don't know why you care about 2020, elections. Just get over it already. And I'm like, no, we should never get over 2020. If they steal in 2020, they'll keep stealing over and over again. You have to be concerned with it because guess what? We're coming to take away the steal. We're coming to take away the IRS steal. We're coming to take away the monetary steal and the Fed. We're coming to take away elections from the idiots. We're coming to take away the fraud from Minnesota, from New York, from Indiana, from Iowa, from Colorado, from California, from every single state in the union. We're coming to take back our country from all of these Kabbalist idiots. We are taking back our country, and this is our year to do it. Okay, so let me just show you a little thing here. Minnesota fraud, it's big. Arizona is big. It's huge. California will be bigger. New York is colossal. It is giant. That is something I found fascinating with that too. So let's move over to Arizona. Why does Arizona matter even to me? So in 1997 and 1998, I was a rep with a hearing aid manufacturer. So I got to move back to the Denver area, actually to my hometown. And I had Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and that was it at the time frame. I picked up Oklahoma and Texas a little later on, which is just a massive territory, right? And so I remember my first trip, I had this drag around bag, you had your computer in there and you had a little demonstrator kind of thing. I'm a rep for hearing aid manufacturers, no longer around. It was called Telex. And some of you guys remember, the headsets that you would have in the NFL. And, they used to make hearing aids and all kinds of interesting kind of products. Well, so I'm in Arizona in July, yes, and it was my first time to be in Arizona, and it was really interesting because I'm walking out in Phoenix, and I couldn't understand. There was, on the blacktops, it looked like there were rodents along the side of the roads, and yet what it was is that they would put the blacktop and they would put the tar down and the tar was melting. And I just bought this bag. I spent like, at the time, 97, I spent like an 80, $90 on the dumb bag. And by Thursday, I flew out on Monday. By Thursday, the bag was dragging, or maybe Tuesday, the bag was dragging. I couldn't understand. The bag had melted, like there was a little axle, with the bag. The bag had melted the axle. That's how hot. It's like 110 every single day. The bag's axle melted. And so, I mean, I went out there many times. Excuse me. And so, I had a strong affinity for the people, very interesting kind of people, very fiercely independent. And that's why it was very difficult, for me to see how much, fraud that was happening for these people. So and they're definitely not liberal. This is not a liberal area. It's really interesting. When I went down to Tucson, it was very interesting because everyone drove slow in Tucson. You could never drive fast in Tucson. You could always drive underneath the speed limit. Now, obviously, there was a huge migrant population, illegal population, but but they were kind of loyal to the area, so it was a very different, different kind of thing. Tucson's very different than the Phoenix area, but it was such a unique kind of town. And they would vacation there, or they would snowbird there, and they would go to Minnesota, by the way, which is one of the other ones I talked about, right? So that's why I'm talking about these two areas more specifically than any other one out there. Okay. So let's talk about the Arizona steel. First, we're going to talk about the 2020. This one doesn't have any sound, so I can talk over it. Sorry, come on up here. By the way, get up there. There we go. So there's no sound on here, so don't ask for any sound. No major problems with ballot drops, right? Boxes, people stuffing in. How many times are you supposed to put in any ballot? Like, I remember doing a mail-in ballot myself because I really didn't want to wait in the lines. There was huge lines in 2016, but as you go back through this, how many times are they stuffing in ballots? Right? They were saying it's a secure election. They were stuffing ballots, 14, 15, 16, 20, 2,000 mules proved to us that this was a ballot stuffing election, right? This is in Arizona specifically with that too. Now, let's show you an actual ballot from 2020.
I'm gonna cut up the address here, but so here's I got my official mail-in ballot, right? My wife's ballot's underneath mine. Just got the mail. Here's the front of the envelope. Just like any other envelope, you got the address under here, right? Name and everything like that. Flip the envelope over though, no trickery. There's literally a peekaboo window, a little plastic window. Look what you can see right through it. Why on earth does that need to be there? Why couldn't this just be closed?
So what they're doing is that on the front of it, they have the ballot, you have the window, but they have a window. Now, that window was never available. I remember the Oklahoma, there is no window in there. But on the back of the ballot, obviously, I'm going to mute this, but on the back of the ballot, and let me just pause it right here, you can have a peekaboo window. Why would they need to have a Republican peekaboo window? I'm going to tell you what actually occurs. Now, I don't remember in Oklahoma. Listen, I could be wrong that there was or wasn't one there. I could absolutely be wrong on this, but why would they have a peekaboo Republican window? This actually, I found out, through the grapevine, this existed in California. I know that many other states actually indicated the same thing. What were they doing with peekaboo windows? It's to destroy that kind of ballot. So it's a legal ballot that they had to do. So they could just reduce and kill off that kind of ballot. This is what they love doing. So they have a legitimate one. They're going to shred the snot out of that puppy, right? This is how sick they are. Okay, let's remove that one. Here, let's get to another one here that I think is funny.
This is some of the new stuff. Router images to the election auditors. They're defying a judge's orders. What are they afraid of, and what are they hiding?
That's a question for them.
Right.
We wonder the same things, but I'm not going to comment on what's going on in their heads. So that was part of the subpoena as well. And at first they told us that they had replaced all of that.
Now, see, this is right after the 2020 election. This is in that interim period of time where they said Trump lost all of the interference conversations in Arizona SCOTUS kind of thing. When they said that he lost it, why did he lose it, right? It's that, well, they said that he had no standing in Arizona, but they said that they replaced the equipment. No, they did not.
Equipment, and we're going to provide that equipment to the Senate.
The state Senate.
And that they had put all new equipment in the McTech facility. And then when that didn't show up, they started talking about providing virtual access. And then after a week or 2 weeks almost of trying to get the virtual access, they now are coming up with this concern that it puts other agencies of the county or even federal governments at risk if they provide that information. So I'm not an IT expert. We'll let the auditors and their IT experts work that out in conjunction with the Senate and the county.
And then one last question. Yesterday, Breitbart pointed out that Hannah Klein, the daughter of Biden's chief of staff, Ron Klain, Hannah Klain, signed the document going to the DOJ on behalf of the Brennan Center for Justice. Why do you think Biden's team is getting involved in the fight to stop this? What is Joe Biden hiding?
I wasn't aware of that connection, so I don't have a comment about whether President Biden is hiding something in this process or not. So,
All right, thank you very much.
okay, thanks.
This is how much they're trying to steal. They kept trying to steal over and over again, trying to bully, the circumstance. Teddy Roosevelt talks about a bully pulpit in that way. So why are they involved in pushing that thing? Because they knew they couldn't win. See, the reality is, this is where they were.
It looks like you're enjoying yourself. Oh, yeah, that looks like you're enjoying. Okay, you okay?
Yeah. Right.
I'm okay.
Biden voters really didn't want to vote for him. They were told to vote for him. Okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. I want to make sure that we
let's
capture.
show you. This is new information. This is the new stuff coming out about the 2020 election stuff that we haven't even really gotten to because they haven't even really talked about some of the stuff.
This properly. So there were trucks that showed up on the 3rd, and then the 4th, and then the 5th. And how long did that go on? How many days?
Well, I wasn't there the whole last week, but I know
For as
they were
long as
still-
you can recall.
Yeah,
How
they were
many days?
My last day was the 10th, and they were still coming in. And they're
Trucks.
coming from a company called Runback.
Sorry, this was not some of the new. Some of the stuff is a little bit new. Some of the stuff is old because there was a Runback company. So there's a Runback company that comes in with scanning equipment. Why do you need scanning equipment? You're going to find out some of the weird stuff that was going on in Arizona with that.
That does the high-speed scanning and printing. I'm getting out of my comfort level here talking about this. I don't know what they're doing, but those ballots were coming in from a high-speed scanning company called Runback that apparently you haven't heard of Runback?
No, I've heard of Runback,
Okay.
man. But what I'm trying to figure out is whether they printed them or they scanned them, and if they scanned them off-site, to what purpose?
I can't tell you
Because wasn't that your job to scan them? Well, I beg, not your job, but
Yeah.
The-
No, all the high-speed scanning happens at Runback. So those ballots go to Runback. As far as I know, there were no observers there.
Now think about that for a second. So you have out of state ballots that are coming, and she's going to tell you about this, that are going to scanning at Runback and no observers looking at them, which is part of the illegal process of looking at ballots. No observers from either Democratic or Republican side, which is part of the illegal process of voter fraud. I mean, it's how you do voter fraud.
What you're telling me, I'm going to play this back to you a second. The scanning wasn't actually done on site at a Maricopa County structure. It was done someplace else.
Where they have very high-speed scanners, yeah. And-
Well,
yeah.
right now, I really don't care what the speed is.
Yeah.
I want to know, were they Dominion scanners? Or they
No,
were,
I don't think it has anything to do with Dominion.
So I'm trying to understand what was the purpose of scanning them in advance of them being tabulated on the Dominion equipment?
They were duplications, the ballots that would.
They duplicated the ballots. Why did they have to duplicate it? Because they changed the ballots before they scanned it. That's exactly what they're telling you.
Read through the tabulation machines. They were ballots that came in from military and overseas.
Military and overseas. Now, we actually know that many of these ballots, and I'm going to show you more evidence about some of these ballots that came from wrong places in just a minute. Now, we have no problems with military ones. I mean, people coming from a military circumstance and a military, you know, people deployed, right? But you have overseas ones, which means that election interference kind of thing happening, which is Executive Order 13848, which is part of the illegal part of the steal.
But there were more ballots than that, so I don't know where the rest of them were coming from.
Right.
Because they kept bringing trays of them in, so I don't know where they were coming from. That's a question for the county employees to explain to you where those ballots came from. That whole next.
This is part of that's how they stole it. Let's show you another one.
Style as another ballot within that same voting center. The one thing
This
that
is new.
I have to point out is out of all the spoiled ballots and the duplicated original ballots, there were a total of 113 ballots examined. 48 of those existed because there was a 19-inch image of a ballot printed on 20-inch paper.
Now, this is one of the things that we actually heard about, not just in 2020, but in 2024. One of the things that we actually knew about in that time frame is that in 2020, that Trump had put on there, that he put a watermark on the top of all American ballots nationwide. There was a watermark that was put on there. This was to catch the scammers. And Chinese brought in non-watermark ballots, and they put them on, instead of the 22-inch, put them at 19-inch, that were not going through the Dominion machines, which was shutting down Dominion machines. It did it in 2022. It did it in 2020. And that's why they had to put it through the different scanners. That's probably why they had to go through those high-speed scanners, reduplicate them. That's why it slowed the whole systems down, and they couldn't actually tabulate them in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Minnesota, all these different states. They couldn't do them. Why couldn't they count them in the same time frame? For instance, in Oklahoma, they tabulated everything like that, right? They tabulated things in Kansas. They tabulated everything in Missouri and in other states just like that. Why? Because they took the real ballots and tabulated them in one day. The other states, what they had to do is find out, oh, our ballots weren't matching up at 19 inches or 22 inches, and they were not going through Dominion machines. So they had to retabulate the ballots with those high speed run back machines, reset them in, put them in through a run back machine, and then send them over to the Dominion machines as a scanner. That's where they had to get those little USB drives. The USB drives were then loaded into a computer, reset into this. That's how you get this kind of thing.
There you go. Okay, that's what we were
Objection,
talking.
Your Honor. Move to strike as non-responsive.
Oh, yeah.
Question he was answering.
Oh, no way, man.
Listen to
Ballot
this again.
printed on 20-inch paper.
There you go.
20
Okay, that's what we were
Objection, Your
talking.
Honor. Move to strike as non-responsive.
Oh, yeah.
Question he was answering.
Oh, no way, ma'am.
Well, I don't even understand the point of some of these
Well, I don't
things
know that it was non-responsive.
because it's not a
Oliver
jury
Bullitt,
trial; it's a
you can
bench trial.
cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Parikh, it's your
The other reason you
testimony
don't want to make
upon
those objections to
inspection
this judge is,
of
hey, judge, this
these
evidence was really
ballots
important. Would you please exclude it from
that
your memory?
you determined that there was a 19-inch ballot image projected onto the 20-inch paper. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. That's one of the initial things when I initially were reviewing evidence that was
He's a
presented.
southern
And
accent,
in
isn't
the
it?
public,
Spoiled.
I saw that the ballots,
Spoiled.
and it was, to me,
I
was
think
easily
Texas.
identifiable.
Oh, it could be Texas too. Somewhere
And-
south.
This is the stupidity that they did. And it messed up the ballots specifically way more difficultly in 2022 than it did in 2020. And so what they did is they shut down different areas and did it in Georgia too. That's why they had to shut down the area in Atlanta, Georgia. They had to shut it all down in Fulton County because they didn't know how to fix it, right? Okay. This is the funniest one. Now, I actually had it dubbed over and so you hear it, and this is the funny thing that they actually let slip. Listen to the fake Biden statement
The
here.
president is leading nationally on a morning consult poll. He's leading with 7 swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada,
Trump.
North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. So that is actually the poll against President Biden, the fake president. You know, you can see that President Trump is leading against Mr. Biden in all of those areas.
Fake President Biden. Fake President Biden. You get the idea, right? He's trying to give you, there's part of the movie thing that you have to see, right? This is why I keep telling you this is part of that movie issue, right? Voting for President Biden is like this. Right? You get the idea. Okay. This is some of the newer pieces of evidence that actually has come out. Just these last two are really, really new pieces of evidence and the tabulation kind of stuff that happens. It's very interesting with this woman, really pretty hat that she has, and you'll see it.
Number 4, and this is the duplication room. I observed with my Democratic partner the preparation of a new ballot since the original one was soiled or wouldn't go through the tabulators. I read her a Trump Republican ballot, and as soon as she entered it into the system, the ballot defaulted on the screen to a Biden Democratic ballot.
Think about that for a second. It's a Trump ballot, but it goes into a Biden ballot. It can't even default into a Trump ballot. It flips over to a Biden ballot, and that's what happens with Dominion machines. They were purposely reprogramming it to a Biden vote.
We reported this to the supervisors, and others in the room commented that they had witnessed the same manipulation. We were never told what, if any, corrective action was taken. All I know is the next day I was called outside the room that I was working in signature verification by the supervisor saying, I understand you caused some problems this week, and saying that you thought our machines were not working correctly. And I was being the one that was scolded. And I was told at that point in time I could not discuss anything or talk about what was going on, as many people were threatened, because they were told that their voices would be suppressed. They would be either have to leave the room and not work there again. I'm here because I think this is our duty to speak the truth.
See, they can't tell the truth because it is a clear election interference, which is treason in that way. This is the treason level kind of stuff that we have to live with that. Okay? Okay, let me show you another one here. I think we have this. I'm sorry if I'm going to kind of move this here. Sorry about that. 1 second. Okay. I'm going to bring this one up on the stage. Oh, I got 2 more here. 1 more second. And we've got a couple more here. So
there were several states involved.
And which time period are you referring to?
This was 2020.
Before or after the election?
During the election.
In your examination of any of these Dominion systems, have you seen any indication of non-election personnel remotely accessing a Dominion system?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
I too have reviewed a series of emails.
Case closed. Election interference. Case closed. Period.
Produced by Dominion. in which they're discussing remoting into Gwinnett County, Georgia?
You also mentioned Dominion remotely connecting to election systems,
Case closed.
but you don't have any evidence that occurred in Georgia, correct?
There was one county. I've seen a lot of Dominion emails. I've had to translate Dominion emails from Serbian to English to verify the text.
Interference from foreign sources, Serbia.
Technical questions I was being asked about them to verify that it was translated properly. So
it's your testimony that there is evidence of Dominion remotely accessing Georgia election equipment?
yes, on the one county. It was included with stuff that I was researching and reading through, considering Colorado. Michigan was also involved, and there were other ones.
To your understanding, is Dominion able to remotely connect to these election systems?
Yes,
Are they able to do that without detection?
yes,
And are you aware of any instances in which that has occurred?
yes.
Can you identify those instances?
One would be the Denver, Colorado server was granted a request.
And I want you to think about this. Denver, Colorado, which state does that involve, and which person would that involve? Tina Peters.
Requested the grant, Belgrade, only Belgrade. I did search. There is a Belgrade, Montana. Again, why would Montana need to connect into a Colorado file transfer server as part of the election system? And there are other components and things that were done in the background concerning the database and the configure of the database server that still do not have an engineering change order, because if somebody works in an operational environments for a lot of different things, what I will tell you is sometimes things break or you have a problem and you have to fix it. And you submit a change request, or in this case, an engineering change order that's retroactive, right? You want it to go back and make sure that you record the process so that you have change management and integrity of the system. If you do not record changes, you lead yourself down a very bad road.
This is how sick the system was in that circumstance. Okay. Now let me show you some of the, and I got to upload these because I couldn't get all of them uploaded all at once here. Let me show you the 2022 stuff that they started screwing around with, which messes with Katie Hobbs, because Katie Hobbs is part of the sickness in the system with that as well.
The majority of ballots will be counted within the first 24 hours after the polls close. But it's important to remember that here in Arizona, our races are extremely close, and it still might take a few days for you, the media, to call those races. It is possible that some of the candidates who are ahead on election night, and some of those questions as well, might not be ahead and might not maintain those leads after Election Day, as additional ballots are counted and reported. This is normal. And people should keep in mind that voting patterns in Arizona have changed over time. Who votes early and who votes on Election Day has not been consistent in recent years. So we ask you to be patient. Let us do our job, and we will be transparent about what we have done and what we have left to do.
Liar. 100% lie. That's just what they do. This is how they do it. And we'll never trust you ever again, because they will never do their truth. And this is an example of some of the stuff they do. So they're in their, this is what they do, the Dominion machines. They take out the stuff, then they reprogram the memory cards. There's no sound, by the way. He's reprogramming the memory cards. Those are reprogramming the systems, right? So the paper ballots come in, right? They line up the little things, reprogram the memory cards, right? This is what they do. Then those little things, they come up with they've broken the seals, removed the memory cards. This is how sick the system is. Okay? And to leave you with the last little one, I think is fascinating. And this is what we have to do. And we have to leave them with this part here. And I was praying about this one here. I think this is fascinating.
Which means each individual person is personally liable for over $21 million just from this paperwork. And guess what? We, the people, as body sovereign, we're really good at gathering signatures. So I'm
Yes,
sure we could go gather another 30,000 if they'd like. Once they go into default and they don't respond to our opportunity to cure, which is to resign within minutes, they need to resign within 3 days. If they don't resign within 3 days, they will be personally served with a writ of quo warranto and an opportunity, again, to rebut any one of our claims, which I'm making right now. None of them have signed an oath of office. None of them are bonded to We the People. All of them are foreign invaders acting as government. They are not our government.
Foreign invaders at that moment. Think about that one.
Therefore, we will be serving them a writ of quo warranto with a waiver of tort, and if they still do not rebut, we'll be notifying the military, and they can be hauled off, to a military tribunal, and I think we all know the penalty for treason. Thank you.
Yes.
This is what we're telling them. This is writ. She's telling them exactly what the deal is. Forget about all the other things on the screen there. The point is that they have been guilty of treason, because what they're doing is they're setting themselves up in a socialistic government so that they can defraud us, steal the money, and take everything from us. We're not just talking about, setting themselves up and messing with an election kind of thing. They can steal the money. They can corrupt elections. They can change judgments. They can put you in jail. They can do everything that they want to. We're not just talking about unfairness. We're talking about criminality to a treason level. Treason is the only people that are allowed, that are available for treason are people that are under oath. When you're under oath, guess what? That's a hanging offense. These people are under hanging offenses. It is a military tribunal. That is why you have to hang. Sorry, you might not be happy with that kind of statement. We have to be pushing on our current government and saying, listen, no more. I'm sick and tired of it. There's a new statement that are out right now because of all the Minnesota fraud. And we're going to see New York fraud. We've already seen, there's at least $76 billion in California fraud. I would say there's probably upwards of hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. And there's got to be Arizona fraud of probably in the range of $100 billion of fraud with this. These people line their pockets with levels of fraud. So they do it by getting into public office. And there's a trickle down effect to getting into office. And secretaries of state is how they do it. So Katie Hobbs was a secretary of state, and then she moves up to the governorship, right? So how can she be the secretary of state and counting all the votes in 2022 and then allow herself to do this? It's like, you can't allow yourself to be in that kind of position. Sorry, guys, I call bull. And we have to say no more. We're tired of it. And I call on President Trump. I call on the military to say no more. We are at the time frame of saying no more. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm done with all of you. I'm done with all of them. You all have to not just be in jail. We have to see military tribunals. I'm tired of it. I'm done with the BS anymore. Thanks so much.